Hey, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Bolt Crew podcast. Dave Palais, Josh Palais, and Mario Heron talking Charger football with you as we get closer to, obviously, the first game of the season. Very exciting. As, again, it's summertime. We look forward to, the different sporting events. I know right now the three of us are probably all watching. I'm guessing you two are watching Olympic basketball at the same time as we do the show, right? You got the TV up. We're all interested in other sports. But Charger football is what we're really excited about as far as getting excited, because this is the podcast we do that talks Charger football throughout the season. And it's been a tough couple of years. And at the same time, we're looking to rebound. But there's something that happens with this franchise, this team, that is different. And we've said it's going to be this way for a long time. Jim Harbaugh says something all the time that I'll either run to Josh or to Mario and I'll make a comment. Do you see when Jim said this? And then you go, the guy's a nut job. But then you're so happy he's on our side. He's our nut job. Whether it's talking about, he has 22 foul balls. I was telling Josh this. He brings a glove to Major League Baseball games, and he's legitimately caught 22 foul balls or home run balls. And he goes, you increase your odds. You got to bring a glove to the game. But then if I brought a glove to the game, Mario would say, what are you, a loser, bringing a glove to the game? You're a grown man. You'd make fun of me. But yet for Jim, it works out. Everything works out for Jim Harbaugh. The Michigan thing happens about, the cheating. He says, hey, I don't apologize for anything. I didn't know anything about it. And we all go, okay, we trust in Jim. So with this team, guys, they faced the Rams in practice this week. And you're going, okay, it's just practice. It's August. Look, these guys are looking to face anybody who's wearing a different uniform, which is kind of funny because they kind of have the same team colors and share the stadium. But at the same time, there were some bright spots with the Rams and the Chargers. And the reason I want to bring this up is because what has been our major concern with this Charger team, something that we feel Jim really doesn't have a lot of control over. It's the personnel on defense, especially in the backfield, right? The defensive backs, the safeties. What are we going to do with the corners? Do we have a one? Do we have a two? Do we have guys who are ones that really wouldn't be starting for other teams? Well, guys, there were 6 turnovers within a couple of hours that the Chargers defense created. That's a good sign. And so when you look for positives, that's honestly the biggest positive that I think you could take from an entire week of going, what is the defense doing? The fact that that's the mindset. And Josh, I'm going to go to you on this because I know Nick Saban was a big guy of going through a million drills of stripping the ball and finding a way to get the ball back in turnovers. Jim Harbaugh's always been a successful coach, understands you win the turnover game, you're going to win the football game.
100%. The team that gets the other team to turn it over the most is probably going to win. The bright spot for me has been Christian Fulton. For anybody that's been following the Chargers training camp, Christian Fulton has been a star in practice. And I know it's practice, but it is a big deal because we've highlighted Christian Fulton from the time he's become a Charger. Our question mark has been, do the Chargers have a number 2 corner? Is there somebody to go alongside Asante Samuel Jr.? I believe Asante Samuel Jr. is more of a number 2 corner himself, but Christian Fulton has been a star for the Chargers. And it's big news because you're playing against another NFL team, like Dave said. He's not beating up on our quarterbacks and our receivers. He's beating up on the other team's quarterback and receivers. And the Chargers almost had a perfect day. If you guys read the article by Daniel Popper, they literally almost had a perfect day on defense, which makes me extremely excited, Mario, because like Dave said, we've been questioning the secondary from the very beginning of this season.
We certainly have. And it's great to see that Jesse Minter, it translates, baby. It's so far it's translated to the NFL. And look, I understand the other side of it too. I know Rams have some guys out on their O-line, and that could be one of the reasons why Mac and the boys were just having a party down in Stafford's face. But at the same time, it's good to know that when an offense is weak, we attack, right? Like the damage is still being done. And it's good to know that, our secondary is known as this very weak secondary, and with a pretty strong passing team and a passing coach and Sean McVay, that they held their own. And we've been questioning guys, right? So Fulton has a great day of camp. There's people that spoke very, very highly of Cam Hart. Like he's kind of battling for that other corner position as well. It's good to know. I think it's affirming to me that we have guys, one, that are ready to take the position. And it's not, one of those things where the coach is going, I'm just kind of ready for someone to step the hell up. We got a lot of guys just kind of messing around. No, it's a lot of guys are trying to step up and take the spot and take the position. And I think all that's pretty exciting. And it's good to kick the crap out of a team and say, here's my nuts. They're on your forehead.
Is that exactly what they say? So I want to go real quick on Fulton because someone just wrote in here. And again, my way my eyes work, I apologize. I want to give credit. Are you guys buying the Fulton hype? Is basically what was brought up. So here's the deal with Christian Fulton. The guy's in his 5th year. Guy came from LSU, right, Josh? He's was with the Titans. He struggled at one point. Honestly, one of the worst defensive backs in the NFL. Titans said, "Look, we expected a lot. He's not what we see." But at the same time, what have we always said about the Baltimore Ravens? The Baltimore Ravens do a great job of putting a franchise together and building a roster that is strong as any in the NFL and is continuously strong. They're consistent. The Ravens are very consistent. And so when you look at a front office now that is basically put together by Ravens and they see something in this guy, just like you'll see teams that will grab a pitcher that is struggling with another team in baseball and bring him over and fix a couple things that maybe we can help him, but athletically he has it. I do buy the hype right now. And again, you can laugh at me in 6 weeks if I'm wrong and he is cut from the team or doesn't make the team. But right now, it sounds like he's doing everything that's expected. It's kind of, my opinion, it's August 6th, and to sit there and go after a guy for doing everything you possibly could ask to criticize him, this is what he's doing. He knows this is his last chance in the NFL. And at the same time, he's taken to coaching, whatever it is that he is standing out on an NFL roster right now and opening eyes, and he is the talk of camp.
Who says he can't have a breakout season? Like Dave said, he's a second-round pick out of LSU. And I'm biased. I think Alabama puts out the best secondary players. But if you're going to tell me LSU does, I wouldn't argue with you either. LSU always puts out great players from the secondary. Being a second-round pick shows that he has potential to be a great player. If he can provide that to the Chargers and actually take over being, cornerback number one, how much of a relief would that be for the defense and for Justin Herbert in the offense, right? Like I said, if you can hold teams under 30 points, you believe Justin Herbert can get your team to 25, 30 points to secure some wins. So I think Christian Fulton has potential to do it. He's a second-round pick for a reason. And being in his 5th year, it's unlikely that a guy has a breakout season. But look at Jefferson Profar for the San Diego Padres, 31 years old, just had his greatest season ever. So it could happen to anybody, Mario.
It could. And, let's think, too, this secondary, this defense, they have time to kind of build up their confidence, if you will, and kind of build up a identity, because they face the Raiders. Does Devontae Adams kill us? Yes, but you also got to get a quarterback that's going to get it there. And I have a lot of trust that Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell cannot get it there. So that's what you have week 1. Week 2, you face Bryce Young and a new offense in his second year that his confidence just got snapped in half. And if you saw him walking into the facility, he was the size of my 7-year-old nephew, and he has one guy Xavier Legette to throw to. And then then we face Pittsburgh, who's in a quarterback battle right now, so I don't really know who you're going to get. But that's not unless you get Aiyuk, and we'll talk about that later. George Pickens? All right, talk a little smack to him, stop him, and he's going to have a temper tantrum on the sidelines, and then you're good. So, the secondary, if it's Fulton, he has moments where he can build off of before he faces a real test and faces a real challenge of the best in the NFL, and that doesn't come later on into the Chargers. Week 4, I believe, is the Chiefs. Yeah, week 4 is the Chiefs. So we got 3 weeks, guys, to kind of really punch home who's our guy and also build up confidence on the way before we face arguably the best quarterback we've ever seen in football.
So right now, when you look at what the Chargers are doing, it seems like when you listen to Jim and you listen to the players, not only are they on pace of where they want to be so far in camp, that they might even be ahead of pace, right? Unless it's the biggest BS selling job you've ever seen, having watched a lot of these and listened to a lot of these, you can kind of tell when guys go, hey, we know what we are, and boy, when the season starts, we're going to be exposed. It doesn't feel that way. This is, talk about a breath of fresh air. That's what it feels like with all these guys. Also, and we're biased, Josh and I, we don't hide it on the show that, we're rooting for Tony Jefferson because we've known the guy since he was a little kid. But Tony Jefferson, from everything you're hearing, as far as that veteran leadership in that locker room. Now, if Tony doesn't even make the team, Josh, at the same time, I think he's making a big enough impact on these young guys that they're going to take something away that sometimes coaches say something goes in one ear and goes out the other. But it seems like a lot of guys are pointing the finger back to him about the constant coaching on the field and in the locker room of what to look out for and what to see. And we've seen it in every sport where athletes can see things and adjust to things. As we talk about quarterbacks, things are in slow motion, but eventually your body doesn't react. And that's the kind of thing that might keep Tony from making an NFL roster. But at the same time, I love the idea that they brought him in. Again, a former Raven that they brought in to understand, hey, this is the system. This is the way things are done. This is what you have to look out for. Because that secondary and that defense, they needed a lot of help. And this is one of those defenses, in my opinion, in the backside, you almost have to hold their hands to teach them the NFL position.
I agree. And Tony, as Dave said, we've known him for a long time since he was a kid. I call him a kid, even though he's a couple years older than me, but I have known him for a long time. He's a natural leader. And I'm not just saying that because I know Tony. He really is a natural leader. Every team has been on, from high school to when he was at Oklahoma, the Arizona Cardinals, Baltimore Ravens. He is one of the guys that takes over a locker room, and he's a leader. He's very likable. As Fernando said on the show last week, Gilman, Derwin James, and Tony have been the three leaders in the secondary that people have listened to. It's one of those things as fans that we can't see, but it's very valuable to your team. I would love for Tony to make the team. Like Dave said, he is somebody that I know. There's also somebody else trying out for the team right now that I grew up with, and Luis Perez, who has played in every professional football league but the NFL, it seems like. So I'm rooting for him as well. He's trying out for quarterback right now. I don't know what that means for Easton Stick if his job's up for grabs, but Luis Perez is from San Diego, so we're rooting for him as well. But Tony Jefferson, man, I think he's a guy that should make the team because he's friends with Derwin James. If you want to keep Derwin happy, and Derwin's the guy that's vouched for him from the day he stepped into the building, I think Tony could help the team. He's a sure tackler. He's not the greatest in coverage. That's not what he's known for. He's known for making tackles. And I think the Chargers can get all the tackling help they can get, because the Chargers have struggled at tackling. It seems like since Eric Weddle left, we've only had a couple guys in the backfield that have been able to tackle consistently.
Yeah, I mean, if you had $1 for every time you saw a broken tackle by the Chargers defense, I mean, you would buy Twitter from Elon Musk and name it, fartface.com. Like you can do whatever the hell you want. I'm all for Tony. I mean, he's shouted out in a lot of different. I know Derwin James has shouted him out. I've heard Harbaugh shout him out multiple times, multiple different interviews. So I honestly do expect him to make the team because that likability and that leadership position. This is a organization that's trying to go in a different direction than it has gone the past 3 years. And I think Tony's a part of that. And I think he's in a role that's very hard to replace. And they need him there, especially with, him buying into the Jesse Minter defense. Like, this is something that he's really going to need. So I'm for the Bolts. Keep him on. Let's keep on that leadership. Let's keep building on what they have going right now in the facility. And every time we, scrimmage a team, I was thinking about this today, guys. I wrote this out. I think the Chargers might go undefeated in preseason for the sole reason that you're telling me Jim doesn't know that John never loses in preseason, and he's going, well, why does he be the only one that can do that? Well, like, I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, he's very open about it. Like, his brother has a Super Bowl on him. Who's to say that he doesn't want to go undefeated in the preseason, just like his brother, just so he can be at like Thanksgiving dinner and just be like, hey, like, not only is my regular season better than you, and I beat you in the regular season, but my preseason is better than you too. So, like, here's the bird, pass the gravy, hold the mashed potatoes.
It's funny, preseason people always go, it doesn't mean anything, right? You used to see, teams like the Lions or whatever would do well, and then they'd have a bad season. Man, I'm one of those guys, and I'm not an NFL coach, but I'm one of those guys. If there's a scoreboard, it always matters. I just don't care. I just don't believe in taking your foot off the gas at any time. And the whole deal is you're always playing to that scoreboard. To sit there and go 0-3 in preseason, I know and understand you're going to go into week 1 and you're going to forget about it. But, man, there's a different feeling when you go in that locker room after winning. And to say this is what's acceptable is that we're always on top of that scoreboard is important. I like the way that John Harbaugh does it. As a fan, I like it. I just don't like that, anytime, you say you can half-ass something. We're going full through all the way to win that scoreboard no matter what. And it doesn't mean you leave your starters in to win those games. I'm saying you put yourself in situations and you run plays like a traditional NFL game, because that feeling of walking in knowing you beat your opponent means something. I think that's what John's trying to do. He's creating a culture in Baltimore, and people can goof on that record all you want, but at the same time, the Ravens are always successful. Yeah, I understand they aren't winning Super Bowls. They've won 2 in franchise history, but it's the mindset of going into week 1. This is what it feels like to win. Anyone who says you learn more from losing, I got it. But everybody has lost. We all know it sucks. It sucks to lose in checkers. To lose in an NFL game in front of a national TV audience and in front of 50,000 or 80,000 in a stadium, it's even worse. So the mindset that Jim might try and create with that, Mario, I'm 100% with it. Go ahead.
If you're going to take the field and compete, try to win. I know it's the preseason, but if you're going to throw your team out there, try to win. And that's what Jim Harbaugh preaches. Chargers have had a complete losing culture under Brandon Staley and the other coaches the last 10-plus years. So I'm all for winning preseason, regular season, whatever it is, just try to win the game. I got a question for you, a little bit off topic here. Do you guys have an opinion on training camp fights? It seems like Malik Neighbors is getting into a gang fight every single afternoon. Do you guys have Do you guys have any thoughts on training camp fights? Do you guys like it? Do you dislike it? Do you have a thought on that?
Mario, go first.
So I think first day fights great because I think a lot of that is, and everyone that's played football has always heard this. You know, you're getting tired of hitting the same person every day. You're hitting your teammate every day. You get to hit someone in a different color jersey. And I think having that passion and that aggression in the first day is good. It's good. That means like your team's got an edge. You're gonna match physicality with physicality. And if you want to win in a football game, you gotta be the more physical team. First day, I'm all for it. Tempers are high. Let's go. Let's pop some people in the mouth. I always say the first hit's the most important hit. Because as soon as someone gets laid out on their ass, about 98% of people don't like that, and they're going to back down the rest of the day. Now, when it's happening like day 2 and day 3 and day whatever the hell it is, let's pipe it down. You know what I mean? Also, it is football. Punching in football is pretty stupid. You're punching a helmet. Hurt your hand. You know, like, come on. And it's a physical sport. You get to hit him the next play. Why don't you hit him legally and instead of hitting him illegally? But I think first day, Dave, I'm all for it. Let's get physical. Get the energy out. Let's start popping some mouths.
It depends who it is, Josh, in my opinion. Malik Neighbors doesn't need to be fighting. If I'm the Giants, I discourage as fast as I can. Going, number one, you're going to make your living through your hands. 2, is you're a first-round pick. 3, you got paid. You know, the guys who need to get in fights are the ones that are the undrafted signees, right? The guys who are trying to open eyes saying, I didn't get drafted. I'm a defensive player. I'm an offensive lineman. And guess what? I'm tough. Somehow you got to open eyes of going, who is that guy? And then it becomes one of those things like a podcast or people that go out to watch these practices and they start talking about it and tweeting about it. Keep your eye on number 24, that kind of thing. But it has to be a one-time thing or at most 2 times in camp because coaches will start looking at that's the guy that's going to hurt us in the fourth quarter in a crucial penalty. You know, that's the kind of thing that's going to cost you a game. But to open an eye and show toughness and let people be aware of who you are, I understand it. Malik Neighbors is making a huge mistake. If I'm the Giants, I discourage it. I would not want someone on my roster who makes a living with their hands throwing punches because you aren't going to do any damage. It's the idiots that take their helmets off that you're going, dude, you're too dumb to be on the team. Like, dude, if you leave your helmet on, it's not going to hurt, right? Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous when you see guys who take the helmet off. But I understand of trying to open eyes for a defensive player or an offensive lineman who's going against somebody like, let's say, an established player like Joey Bosa. I mean, how many guys are fighting Khalil Mack? You aren't fighting Khalil Mack, right? Too good of a player, too nice of a guy. He's all class. Joey's the kind of guy that you'd probably pick a fight with, right? Just kind of a little rough is what
you would pick a fight with him.
I wouldn't pick a fight with Joey. You know what?
You want to pick a fight?
No, you would.
Yeah, I would.
Prime versus prime.
Because, well, I would do it to get established because Joey, I know, is the number one guy that makes all the money. That's what I would do. But I wouldn't do for some reason in my mind, Khalil Mack wouldn't be the guy just because, you know, Khalil Mack to me has been the ultimate professional. But yeah, I understand that whole deal. I don't know what the Giants are doing. And you know, they say what you're basically, you know, an example of your head coach. I mean, you know, Brian Dable's a tough guy. I mean, even when you watch him in Hard Knocks, when he walked in that room, he was kind of like told you what he wanted. I like Brian Dable. But Jim Harbaugh's that guy too. Most head coaches, I think, are like that. Remember when was it the Super Bowl, right? Where Andy Reid got bumped into by Kelsey, and we all felt bad for Andy Reid. Like, but every other head coach, you're like, you wouldn't do it to Antonio Pierce, you wouldn't do it to Tom. Like, how many head coaches would you take a shot at? And you'd go, oh, I'm going to be okay. Like you're just one of those things where you have a reputation. Anyway, maybe fights are old school stuff, but overall, no, I wouldn't encourage it if I was the Giants. And to be honest, I don't want to see the guys. I don't want to see Ladd McConkey fighting. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you made the team. I don't want to see you fighting.
Very fair point.
Yeah, I'm all for fighting if it's within like a drill, but Malik Neighbors is literally seeking people out to fight, which is very strange. I understand why he's doing it because he wants to prove that he's tough and he's a rookie and he wants to get respect from his teammates, but he beat up on a backup safety today or yesterday, whenever it was. It was like, what are you doing? There's another rookie backup safety. Congratulations. Joey Bosa, though, he gets hurt again. We've never heard of Joey Bosa getting hurt. So what do you guys think? Hand, wrist injury. At the time of this show, we really don't know the severity of it. But as of right now, he's unavailable, and Chris Rumpf could have a job because of this injury. I mean, part of me is upset because Joey Bosa gets hurt all the time, and this was inevitable to some degree. part of me is like, you know what? Let's just move forward without him if he can't play.
I'm on the contrary. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I really, really don't. I think it's a small training camp bruise that you just take very lightly because it's in training camp and it's not week 7 or week 8 or week 9. It's like not even week 0 yet. So you're precautionary and you are 100% ready to go for the season. If it was really that serious, we would see everybody in the world pick it up, right? But it's not that serious. It's just local guys picking it up, so it's not that bad. When it gets national, Dave, and everyone's talking about it, that's when I would start to, raise some red flags. But until then, I would just be like, look, it's more precautionary than anything. Ben Herbert's going to help him fix it. We're all good.
No, that's absolutely right. I'm sorry. I'm looking at some of these comments. You guys just made me laugh out loud. Here's the deal. We need Joey healthy, right? We need the best of Joey. Joey's trying to prove himself as well to the new coach, as we talked about before, and I think to his teammates. I think there are a lot of guys in that locker room that are kind of tired of Joey not being available. I know it comes from this show a lot for me, but I think there are guys that look at him and go, dude, we all hurt. There's always something. Now you got the what's it going to be? The little wrist guard on that the lady at the grocery store uses when she's sitting there swiping her groceries. Because all of a sudden, your wrist hurts. I mean, dude, I don't know what to say. Tape it up, do whatever it takes, but you better be out there week 1. Nobody wants to hear it, that your wrist hurts, because everybody's sore. They always say after the first day of training camp, you aren't 100%. And it's only August 6th, and if they want to get him as close to 100% because he understands the scheme and what they're doing and he's proved enough, fine. That's it. But, man, if it's one of those things where Joey can't play, it's like, dude, the bone better be broken, right? There better be some torn ligaments. There better be something that can justify this whole deal, because otherwise it just feels like, how can I set up to keep getting my checks and not play? It's just the way it always feels with him. It's just old, man.
For
me, it's just old.
He'll have some extra testosterone, if you know what I mean. No.
Okay. So everybody wanted to tear my head off last week when I said that Khalil Mack is probably going to get tired of Joey Bosa getting hurt all the time, and everybody laughed at me and called me an idiot or whatever because they watch movies together. Dude, if you're Khalil Mack, you're like, dude, I'm older than you. I've done more than you. I play more games than you. How many times are you going to get hurt? Are you going to do this with me or not? You make me want to, get upset with you because you can't play. The best ability is availability. As I can't pronounce your name, but you just said that on the side there. I mean, come on, dude. Joey Bosa's like, are we watching the Goonies tonight? He's like, no, Joey, not anymore, dude. No more movie nights. Go ice your wrist. Drives me nuts, Mark. And I understand what you're saying. It's probably not a big-time injury because the Chargers have pulled guys aside at each practice, right? Joe Alt, a bunch of players, Ladd McConkey, any little injury or whatever, they pull these guys to the side just so they can rest up. But Joey Bosa, you're just tired of it, man. And the reason it's probably not a national story is because he's no longer a top 100 player. So maybe it's not that big of a deal anymore. But Joey, if you want any chance of this Charger team to be good, you got to be out there, man. You drive me nuts. Gets hurt more than any player on the team.
But okay, on the contrary of that, though, then aren't we happy that this is happening on August 6th and that he's sitting out then?
That's what I'm saying. Move forward. If you can't go, move forward. We move forward. We have Bud Dupree. We have Tooley. We have Chris Rumpf, who hasn't done it yet. Move forward, dude. If you can't play, just move forward. But if you can play, great. Now live up to your potential as the number 4 overall pick. I'm with Dave on this. Like, this drives me nuts.
So I'll play the counter, though. Like, we have a lot of guys not practicing today, right? Derwin James isn't practicing. Ladd's not practicing. Pipkin's not practicing. Slayer's not practicing. Hurst, Ben Mason, Junior Colson, all not practicing. So, like, it's not like he's the only one that he's getting, like, singled out.
No, I'm saying they've been pulling guys aside. But the difference is they've been pulling everybody aside. The difference is Joey Bosa has a history of being hurt. So you're just tired of it at this point.
Hold on. If questionable hurt. Derwin James has a history of being hurt, too. But we don't question Derwin James' injuries. We question Joey Bosa's injuries because we all sit there and go, okay. I mean, dude, on this show 2 years ago, we predicted when he was going to come back. Only if they had a chance to make the postseason would you see Joey in December. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, you can sit there and figure out exactly what Joey does. Dude, again, man, I've been in that locker room a lot. Okay. And when you get a feel when you're in that locker room, who loves this game and who's sitting there, I could take it or leave it as long as I'm getting paid. You know how you get guys to basically dress out, the guys who you expect to be the guys that dress out every single Sunday. This is gonna sound bad. But you know how when you aren't playing and you're inactive and they have the guys in the Charger pants, the Charger blue sweats and the blue sweatshirt and all that stuff, and you're standing on the sideline, Anyone who's physically unable to play on Sunday, summer dress. You just stick them in a summer dress. You got to watch the entire 4 quarters in a dress. And guess what? Guys are going, man, this is embarrassing as hell. I don't want to watch this game in a dress. Give me my uniform. Where's my helmet? Shame them. I'm all in shaming. I said it.
You can't.
Game of Thrones style?
All right, well,
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Tell me it doesn't work, Mario.
no, I
Hey,
mean,
my wrist hurts. All right, go get the dress. Your dress is in your locker. Go get it.
hey, Dave Palais from 1964. Jesus
I was
Christ.
trying to think what, dude. That's old Bear Bryant 1956 Texas A&M stuff right there. Dude.
Yeah. He's got
Yeah.
like a player walking off with a torn ACL and torn bicep, and he's like,
That-
it's a long way from the heart.
Go get the dress. Yep.
God.
Mario. So we went over.
You're like the Saint Monroe St. Brown's dad.
Dude, I
Worked
am.
out great.
I
Drink some
am.
Coke. That's true.
Yeah, it worked out.
It did
Kids
work
are
out
loaded.
great.
Yeah, set for life.
So people outside of the Chargers facility have the Chargers offensive players down bad, specifically the skill players, the quarterbacks, the quarterback, the tight ends, the receivers, the running backs. They're all ranked very, very, very low in fantasy. And I know we don't specifically care about fantasy. We care about wins for the Chargers. But does that mean anything to you when Justin Herbert is ranked low, Dobbins, Edwards are ranked low, Palmer, McConkey are ranked low? Do you care about those things?
I don't care because I think they're very skewed. In fantasy, it's not really about who are the best. It's about who gets the most volume and who gets the most touches, who's going to affect the game the most in a way, right? Like if you look at the QBs, the top 5, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Anthony Richardson. Now, are those the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL in order? Absolutely freaking not. Holy hell, they're not. But Anthony Richardson's going to run the hell out of the ball, and then he's going to throw the ball a lot. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. And then Mahomes is the best passer we've ever seen. So it's more in fantasy, I think, just about the volume, the scheme you're in, and the type of player you are. If you are a runner and a thrower as a QB, you're going to get drafted early. You're going to get wanted early. A little bit more shocked on Edwards and Dobbins, but at the same time, Dobbins gets hurt a lot, and they're going to be splitting carries. So that makes a lot of sense, too, why they're like a little bit lower. But Herbert being all the way down to 15th, too. I mean, we said it multiple times, and I'll say it again. Him being hurt and the playoff loss to the Jaguars, I think, has just really dinged him in so many different ways. And maybe this is another way it's dinged him. Maybe, but it's also he doesn't run the ball, Dave, and he's just a passer, and he's a very good passer in a very run-first offense with, how do you say this? Close to zero weapons.
Okay,
So
hold on. Okay.
go ahead.
The reason the rankings don't make sense to me, Mario, because the
Okay.
Chargers are projected at 9.5 wins, right? We think the Chargers are going to get double-digit wins this season. So Justin Herbert is ranked low, and I'm stealing this from Dominic Rogers because he commented it right now. If Justin Herbert's ranked low, then the running backs better be ranked high, right? Because the Chargers got to score points some way. So
Yeah.
if you want to put Justin Herbert low, running backs better be high, or vice versa. So you can't say that every offensive player is down bad this season, fantasy-wise, because the Chargers are going to score points. So which one is it? The Chargers going to have less than 9.5 wins? They're going to score 0 points? Because not every player can be ranked low.
I mean, that's a fair point, but I think the counter to that would be, I think, the splitting the carries and the injuries and how that's going to go. So I do agree with you on that. Like, something's got to give, right? Like, someone's going to pop if they're going to go over 9.5 wins. They're not going to win games 10-3. Like, they're not, they're not the 01 or 2000 Ravens. Right? That's just not going to happen in today's
It's not
age.
this team. No.
Yeah, it's not this team at all. So I do agree that something's got to give. Maybe that's Ladd, or maybe Palmer.
I know we're in the same fantasy league. I'm drafting Ladd. I think Ladd's going to easily have 100 targets this year if he stays healthy. That's my guy.
Well, then I'm going to take Bandy.
Do it.
Do it. All right. Look, as a fan, I mean, we're all obviously we're Justin Herbert fans. The people listening to the show right now are Justin Herbert fans. Does it bother you that your quarterback doesn't get respect? Whereas, I mean, I can say, is it justified? I'll tell you right now, it's justified. Looking at it from the side, if I live 3,000 miles away from here, and my team was, let's say, the Buffalo Bills, I'm like, what has he done? What has he done? Because there are guys who are younger than him that have stepped into this league that have won playoff games. But at the same time, I told you guys, man, I'm to the age where none of this matters to me. The only thing that matters to me is that scoreboard. And I think 49er fans feel the same way. You know, it doesn't matter where Brock Purdy's at, and Brock Purdy's been a guy. He has a ton of weapons, the most talented team in the NFL. But man, he made it to an NFC Championship game and made it to a Super Bowl. And Brock Purdy does what he's supposed to do. I think the thing that hurts, my opinion, that hurts Justin Herbert in these rankings, if they matter to anybody, is a guy like Jordan Love is able to step in. Not only is he the best quarterback second half of the season, but man, huge playoff win on the road in Dallas last year. And to sit there and be able to do that, not the guy that blows whatever 28-point lead on the road against Jacksonville, where so many people have the story. I went to bed, woke up, and Jacksonville won the game. You know, that's not 100% Justin Herbert's fault. I mean, the defense didn't stop Jacksonville one time in the last drive of the first half and every drive in the second half. But yeah, that falls on your quarterback because he's the face of the franchise. My feelings don't get hurt, doesn't make me lose an ounce of sleep. And hopefully Justin Herbert has it inside of him. I'll tell you right now, I don't know Justin Herbert. So I don't know what he has as far as that's my fuel to be great. You know, that disrespect on these lists. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, okay, this is going to be controversial right here. When healthy, Joe Burrow is great. But I'd much rather have Justin Herbert right now because Joe Burrow, when he's hurt, he misses a ton of time. You know, and you know the Bengals season is over the second Joe Burrow gets hurt, because he gets hurt all the time, and it is devastating for their franchise.
Yeah, I think Justin Herbert literally does not care. He reminds me a lot of Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers would be asked these questions all the time too of fantasy, and he'd be like, "Don't ever ask me a fantasy question ever again." Yeah, he's like, "Dude, I got 24 kids. You think I care about fantasy football?" You know, but Justin Herbert, I honestly don't think he could care at all about fantasy. He wants to win games. I mean, everything that people say about Justin Herbert is that he's never won a playoff games. And when people across the country want to talk about how Justin Herbert is overrated, you know what? I'm just staying silent for now because I want Justin Herbert to win that playoff game so we could start talking some trash too. I would take Justin Herbert over Tua, right? That's a guy he gets compared to all the time because they're in the same draft. I would take Justin Herbert over Jordan Love. I would take Justin Herbert over CJ Stroud. Those are guys that, you know, everybody else is putting ahead of Justin Herbert. I'd take Justin over Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. I mean, Justin Herbert to me is a top 5 quarterback. I think he's great. I would not draft him in fantasy football. This is not a year I think Justin Herbert is going to go off in fantasy because he doesn't have the threats to throw to. But I do believe this is going to be the most wins he's ever had in the regular season.
I still get that. I mean, I've said this multiple times. 2025 is when I'm drafting Justin Herbert right away. And in terms of like the argument of him being overrated and him getting heat for that, I get frustrated when I'm not gonna say his name because but there's one person that I heard talk for a while, and he was saying how Justin Herbert is overrated, and it was just like very uneducated. And I think the uneducation comes from when you look at the top 2 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, right? So, like, let's go Lamar. Okay, Lamar's had Harbaugh the whole time. What, top 5 coach in the league? Mahomes has had Andy Reid. One of the best offensive minds we've ever seen. Josh Allen's been pretty consistent with Sean McDermott. Say what you want about Sean McDermott. He's built a pretty successful defense, even when they're injured. And he's proven pretty good leader. Jalen Hurts had Nick Sirianni. Things turn around. He also had Shane Steichen's OC. That worked out pretty well for the kid, wouldn't you say? Brock Purdy, I'll just throw in there, says, came on my head. Kyle Shanahan. With every weapon, you can absolutely poop out of your butt. Fantastic, right? Herbert's not had, like, in this situation. He's had awful head coaches in, 3-4 different offensive coordinators he's had to shuffle through. Does that not count for anything? I understand he's had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. He's had great weapons and Austin Eckler. But, like, the schemes that he was put in, I mean, my Lord, my high school offensive coordinator sucked, but he could put us in better freaking situations than those guys did.
That would be crazy.
So I think, yeah, I hope so too. Shout out to him. But my point to this is he's had to deal with so much stuff around him that you can't do it about. And that I think sometimes people overlook that and they go, oh, no, he's not as good as Tua. He's not as good as Kirk Cousins. He's not as good as whoever. And it's like, I just don't think so. And we're also still pretty young in his career. John Elway didn't do anything until, he was 38. And then he finally won a freaking Super Bowl. Like he's still young in his career to turn something around. And I agree with you. I'd take him over Jordan Love still. Jordan Love had one good second half of a year. He's not a top 10 quarterback yet. He had one good second half.
Okay, so for me, just the guys you mentioned, Mario, when you compare Justin Herbert, is they all had crazy weapons, right? They had better coaching and they had crazy weapons. I'm sorry, I'm kind of curious to see what Allen does without Diggs. At the same time, I want to see, what happens when Herbert does get guys. I mean, I still don't think he has guys this year compared to Tua, compared to Jalen, compared to Purdy, compared to every guy you mentioned. The guy that stands out that really doesn't have those weapons is Jordan Love to me. Jordan Love doesn't have those guys. And when you said he had Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, those guys were hurt all the time. Austin Eckler was a shadow of himself. Even when you got the ball to Austin Eckler, when he was great, Austin Eckler wasn't big time plays. It was kind of like get the ball to Austin 5 yards away and let him do his thing. It's different. He wasn't set up to succeed the way these other guys were. So I want to say when the time comes and the Chargers do their due diligence and get serious weapons for him, the quarterback I'm really curious to watch this year is CJ Stroud, because man, there's a lot of pressure on this kid. The Texans weren't a team people were talking about a year ago. They picked number 2 and 3 a year ago at this time. Rookie quarterback, new head coach. All of a sudden, the Texans are doing well, of course, against a poor schedule. Chargers have a poor schedule as well this year. And then you look at Stroud now gets Diggs, right? Now he does have weapons. Now they are a team that people are focusing on. It's a lot of pressure on a second-year guy to see what he's going to do. Let's see what CJ Stroud is. This is the year we're going to find out what kind of quarterback he is, because CJ Stroud is ranked very, very high in every one of these lists. And if he's great, he's great. But if he's not, it's a big question mark to, hey, what is that organization? What weapons do you need to surround him to make him succeed? But again, Mark Andrews is almost unguardable. Like we talk about Travis Kelce. Lamar Jackson always has Mark Andrews. At the same time, we all know what Kelce can do. I can go through all these teams and why I think everyone seems to be set up a little bit better than Justin Herbert. Not to make excuses, but it's the truth.
Yeah, with everything even, I'm taking Justin Herbert over almost every quarterback in the league. It just hasn't been even, right? Justin Herbert has had to go through bad offensive lines, defensive coaches who weren't even really defensive coaches. His weapons were hurt, like Dave said. So I want to see these things come to Justin Herbert's side, like an offensive line that can actually block for him, maybe weapons down the line in 2 years that are going to be able to be consistently on the field, things like that. Justin Herbert needs some help. Let's talk about Brandon Aiyuk. Mario, you want to talk a little bit about the situation there and where you think he might end up?
Woo! So, lots to go dive into on a good old Brandon Aiyuk. So, it was reported late last night that there was some heat picking up around him, that the Browns and Patriots have provided trade packages that the Niners like. It was just in terms of Aiyuk didn't want to go there. Like, that was pretty much it. So, it was the Niners had one with the Browns. Pats both loved it. Now, who wants to go to the Patriots? Absolutely no one. I would personally rather go teach kindergarten than do that. And I would hate doing that. So I doubt Brandon Aiyuk wants to do that. Browns didn't work either. The other side thing, too, is that around the draft, he found 5 teams that would pay him the price he wanted, right? So he wanted $28 million per year. Brandon Aiyuk found 5 teams that are willing to pay for that. You can negotiate with teams if you're given permission by the team that you're currently on. So now he's getting permission. Talked to 5 teams, $28 million per year. 5 teams were like, hey, sign me up, buddy. Let's go get dinner at Bob and Edith's diner. It's a great diner in DC if you're ever there. And the Niners couldn't find a deal at all with any of these 5 teams. The 5 teams were not reported. So, again, Aiyuk was just like, thanks for kicking me in the nuts. So the trade didn't go through. Now, Steelers and Niners re-engaged in conversations surrounding Brandon Aiyuk today. Nothing has really came from that. But it's an ever-fluid situation. So it's not like conversations ended and they're done forever. They blocked each other's phone numbers. No, they're still ongoing. But they re-engaged as of today. But as of last night, it kind of looked like Browns and Patriots would be the 2 landing spots. But the big difference in this, guys, is that whatever team has a contract that Aiyuk wants, they don't have the trade package for the Niners. And whatever team has a package for the Niners, Aiyuk doesn't want to go to. So that's the stalemate we're in right now, and Commanders are out of the sweepstakes as well. So, what do you think happens next, Dave? Do you think a trade ever gets done, or we just keep playing grab ass.
Okay, I think John Lynch is one of the best GMs in the league. The deal is John Lynch has played in the NFL a long time. I mean, it's not like he's just a guy that wears a suit. He knows exactly what it's like to be in this league, to win a Super Bowl. He understands team chemistry. I mean, they have problems right now, the 49ers do. They have, if I'm not mistaken, was it 8 guys or 9 guys that made the top 100? I mean, they led the entire NFL with their roster strength. Here's the deal. You came up short. You came up short 2 years in a row where you didn't make it to the Super Bowl when Brock Purdy got hurt in the NFC Championship game. You lose the Super Bowl a year ago to the Chiefs. You've already lost another Super Bowl to the Chiefs. So, you want to be on the same page, guys. We can pull this together and we can win this. We're getting better. Right now, in my opinion, it takes one guy to ruin a locker room in any sport. And at the same time, you got 2 guys that can ruin that locker room, right? Between not taking care of Trent Williams, who deserves to get paid. Brandon Aiyuk, man, receivers, we said it on the show a million times. They have giant personalities. Could everyone in the locker room outside the kicker kick their ass? Yeah, they could, but they talk, man, like you wouldn't believe. And when they're upset, that whether it's not getting the ball or not getting paid, it becomes a distraction. For that being said, I'm shocked John Lynch has put up with this long enough. If I was John Lynch, because clearly they don't want to pay him, you trade him away. They should have traded him away to me a few weeks ago, if not sooner. And now it is getting closer and closer to the start of the season. And there are guys in there who are friends with Aiyuk who feel bad and go, what happens when it's my turn? Will they take care of me? And then there are guys who hate Brandon Aiyuk because he's become a distraction, who are saying, just get this guy out of my face. I'm tired of listening to it. We got a job to do. The Niners are holding themselves up. You look for the best trade package that's not going to, one that's going to give you the best draft pick, meaning that how crappy do you think that team's going to be in the next year to get their number one, because he's probably going to be worth the number one. And because basically if you trade back to the end, let's say you trade with, a team that's a playoff team, that number one turns in the 28th pick, or you sit there and you trade him to a team in the AFC where he can't hurt you in the postseason, right? Unless you see him in the Super Bowl. But if I'm John Lynch, I take care of this sooner than later, because they aren't going to pay him. If they were going to pay him, they would have paid him already. And so is he not happy about, I wouldn't want to go to the Patriots. Mario, I'm with you. I would not want to go to the Patriots. A lot of talk as far as, the Steelers all of a sudden, which is interesting because the Steelers always seem to get wide receivers that you go, and I don't know how good that guy is. And the guy ends up being great. And the Steelers let him walk away when the contract expires, and they just get another guy that steps in. The Steelers do a really good job of it. But there are a lot of teams out there that could use Brandon Aiyuk, including the Los Angeles Chargers could use him. Right. I mean, Brandon Aiyuk was all of a sudden a weapon for Justin Herbert. How excited would we be? We would be. We'd say this guy could help us out, and he could help out almost every team in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, for $28 million a year, the Chargers obviously aren't going to get him because they wouldn't pay Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. So that's not going to happen. But Brandon Aiyuk is a guy to me that I think is a little bit overrated. I know you guys kill me every time I say that. I think $28 million a year for Brandon Aiyuk is actually insane. But for a first-round pick, let's say it was the Pittsburgh Steelers, that would make a ton of sense for both sides, right? They finally get their number one receiver, and then 49ers get a first-round pick, which I think he's worth. So that would make a ton of sense. I'm with Dave. John Lynch, I'm surprised has let this go to training camp. It's a complete distraction. You saw what happened with the Patriots last week. If you have a guy that's upset, I'm all for getting him out of the locker room. It causes major problems within the locker room, on the field as well, if you don't know if a guy's going to be there or not. I'm sure Kyle Shanahan's like, am I drawing up plays for Brandon Aiyuk? Am I not drawing up plays for Brandon Aiyuk? What are we doing here? Like, help me figure this thing out. So for me, I would get the guy out of the locker room and try to figure out a trade package. I really don't care about his feelings either. Like, just get out of this locker room. We'll get our first round pick and move forward.
Just on top of that too. So since then, right? Like since that 28 mil a year, right? That was back in like March. Think about all the guys that got paid since then too. Like Tyreek Hill just restructured his deal. Like he could I read somewhere that don't be surprised if that 28 gets bumped to 30. Just because like just the way the market's going right now. And if you don't pay guys now, that price only is going to get higher. I'm not an economics guy, but it's proof in the pudding. So like I'm just saying, like he could ask more money if you're one of these teams that are wanting to trade for him. And the Niners, like obviously this Aiyuk thing is a big deal. Dude, arguably one of the best offensive linemen we've ever seen, Trent Williams, is still out. Is still not at camp. And if people that watched him last year know how important it is when he's not there, that team really drops off. So I would be more worried about that if I'm a Niner fan. Be like, look, I know this Brandon Aiyuk stuff is big because he's a, skilled player and the receivers make the big bucks and make the big plays and it's fancy. But the not so fancy stuff, not so, nice stuff, and Trent Williams That's a pretty big deal. And if I'm John Lynch, and I'm pretty sure he's probably already doing this, and he's probably on it, he's probably a little bit more worried about bringing back Trent Williams that carries that offensive line than he is about Brandon Aiyuk. When, I don't know, you have 1,000 other weapons that, I don't know, like best in their respective positions. Like if I'd be like, dude, Aiyuk, you're my lunch appointment, but my dinner appointment's with Trent Williams, and this one's more important.
How would you like to be the guy to tell Trent Williams we aren't going to pay you?
Nope.
He might be the scariest guy in the league.
No, he is like 100% the scariest guy in the NFL. I would never mess with that guy.
The video, I can't remember who they're fighting with before the game, but like they're like scuffling around, and Trent comes up, and you see like every guy on the other team's like, yeah, we're all set.
Yeah, Trent looks like he's separating third graders from fighting. Like he just throwing guys. It's insane. All right, so here's the deal with Brandon Aiyuk also. We didn't discuss it because the news broke before we just came on the show. Christian McCaffrey is now hurt. Christian McCaffrey now has a calf injury. Christian McCaffrey shut down for the rest of the summer and might not be ready for week 1. Does Brandon Aiyuk's basically request for more money go up?
I'm not paying Brandon Aiyuk $28 million, if that's your question.
That's
in
my
no
question.
world am I paying. I'm not paying him that money. There's no way in hell. That's why you have Elijah Mitchell. That's why you have Deebo Samuel to run the ball. I'm not paying Brandon Aiyuk $28 million. I'm paying Trent Williams. I think Mario nailed it. I mean, you need Trent Williams more than you need Brandon Aiyuk. He's the best. I still believe he's the best tackle in the NFL. You got to pay Trent Williams.
Yeah.
I think if this was Deebo, he'd have a little bit better of an argument. But I think since it's not, I would, if they tried that and I'm John, I laugh. I go, nice try, pal. I just drafted a receiver in the first round last year. I don't know if you know anything about me, but I'm pretty damn good at scouting.
So here's the deal. Of course, I brought this up on the show before. I'll bring it up one more time and tell me what you guys think. If the offer's on the table, would you trade Joey Bosa for Brandon Aiyuk?
Next question. I wouldn't even think twice about that.
Probably.
Are you kidding me? Dude, with this receiving core we have, and I believe in Thule, 100%. Yeah. I would do that in a second.
Okay, here you go. I'll even make it sweeter in my mind. Would you trade Bosa for Aiyuk and then you make a trade for Judon to the Patriots?
No,
Mario doesn't want Judon.
no Judon. The last time, no Judon.
He was on pace for 1 sack a game last year before he got hurt. He's been getting better and better.
You're like my niece that keeps bringing me a soggy chip. And I keep telling her I don't want it, and she keeps coming back around. It's like, no, I don't want the freaking burrito. Soggy?
She put it in her mouth.
Because it's a kid, and it's, I don't know. They like pee on it, they throw it outside, and they give it to you, and they're like, here you go.
What the hell's going on in that family? Good God. Good Lord.
All right, so we have some starred chats here, Mario, that throw up on the screen. We'll start with AK's. Can you click on his?
Yep.
Okay, so the question comes from AK. It says, can the Chargers defense win week 1 if Herbert struggles? How many sacks in total are they going to have? He believes Mac is going to have 4. If Mac has 4 sacks in this game against the Raiders, the Chargers 100% are going to win, just like when he had 6 sacks against the Raiders and the Chargers won. I think that Justin Herbert doesn't need to be Superman to win this season. I think that's the team that they're constructing right now, where you can run the ball. Justin Herbert can throw for less than 3 touchdowns, and you're going to be okay. So I think Justin Herbert could struggle a little bit, and the Chargers could still win, especially with the quarterbacks that the Raiders have in Gardner Minshew and AOC. Nobody believes in them, including myself. So I think, yes, Justin Herbert could struggle, and they could still beat the Raiders week 1.
I also don't believe the Chargers defense will win week 1 because I think Raiders will give it to them. I just expect Gardner and Aiden to just be like, here's the football. I don't know what I'm doing. So I think that's what's going to happen week 1. So I don't think the defense is going to need to be 85 Bears out there. I think the Raiders are going to give them enough chances to win this football game, and they'll win the football game.
Here's an interesting thing that's, I think, lucks out for the Chargers also week 1 is that they're facing the Raiders. And right now, everything we're hearing in different camps as well, that certain quarterbacks aren't playing to what teams thought they would be as far as August 6 goes. And the Raiders, the story is Devontae Adams wants Tom Brady. Tom Brady says, hey, I'll come back for the right situation. Tom Brady's making a ton of money this year being a broadcaster, but Tom Brady feels like he can still play. At the same time, Tom Brady's connected to the Raiders. I mean, I'd much rather face the Raiders without Tom Brady in week 1. But let me tell you, as a football fan that just loves the excitement of the sport, if Brady came back to the Raiders, oh my God, like that is the number one team you want to watch this year on television, right? They pass everybody. They pass the Cowboys, they pass the Niners, they pass the Dolphins, and all these teams that there's a reason to watch. If old man Brady comes back to see if he can do it, because one, you want to see Brady fans, hey, I want to see him do it again, or you want to see old man fall on his face. You got to watch. Like you cannot get away from the TV if Tom Brady puts that uniform on again.
So the funny thing is people think that Brady would come back for Devontae Adams. I disagree. I think Brady would come back for Brock Bowers because he loves the tight end more than anybody in the NFL. In NFL history, Tom Brady loves the tight end. I think if he sees Brock Bowers and thinks Rob Gronkowski, I think zero chance he comes back to play for the Raiders. I don't think he ever comes back to play NFL football. I think he's just saying that just to be relevant. That's my opinion on that situation. Also, I think Tom Brady needs to go to the NFL. If you're Greg Olsen, you're like, dude, you already kicked me in the nuts. Why don't you just go to the Raiders? And the funny thing is Greg Olsen's really good at his job, so it kind of sucks that he got demoted. But I think, Mario, there's zero chance Tom Brady comes back.
Yeah, I think 0.0 chance. I feel like he's starting to really like this whole retirement party.
There you go. You got another question on there?
If Mario, is there any on here you want to click on? If not, we can talk about Bo Nix if you want.
So Dave had me convinced Bosa is a guy on the forklift who sleeps in the hidden yard spot. Funny. Isaiah and Kelsey Lewis. So I wonder who typed that one, Isaiah or Kelsey. Little callback. This is funny. Oh, maybe this one was Kelsey. We drafted the Angelo Ball of the Bosa family.
We've done that many times.
Yeah, we have.
With the brothers.
That's our thing.
Yeah.
Josh and I have broken this down. You want to try and go through it, Josh? How many times we drafted the wrong brother?
Okay. Bosa, Pouncey,
Derek Watt.
Okay, he was a fullback.
Doesn't matter.
Still the
There's
third
three Watt brothers.
best.
We got the worst one.
Wait, hold on. Watt, Pouncey, Bosa,
Gronkowski's brother. Gronkowski's brother. We didn't draft. We signed him. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's still a Charger.
Yeah, he was a Charger.
Forgot about that one.
Manning? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They're like seven of them. Josh and I went through this a few years ago. They're like seven of them. Every time we got the wrong brother.
Yeah.
Joey. Yeah, we got the wrong one.
It's
Not
tough.
no, never mind. I
Yeah.
almost said a dumb one. Oh, so yeah, Dave, your boy Bo Nix.
Yes.
Yes. QB3.
Yeah, continue. Yeah. number 3.
So
Dave can't judge quarterbacks between
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew, Bo Nix, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, you're 0 for 3.
yeah. Which is
I
fine.
don't think
Just
I
know
said
that
anything about Gardner Minshew, except I thought Gardner Minshew was serviceable.
Oh, dude.
I didn't say he was making the
Check
Pro
tape.
Bowl.
No,
So you checked the tape.
You
I
said
said
there's no
serviceable.
No, hold on. You said there's no
how did he do for the
competition
Colts?
between him and AOC.
There isn't.
There is.
They're
literally battling to be the quarterback.
Look, AOC looks like he should be on Super Troopers. I mean, dude, shave the mustache. What the hell's going on in Indiana, Mario? What's ridiculous?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot, but apparently
good God.
Budweiser. Yeah.
How unappealing are you trying to be? Good Lord.
Well, okay, but you literally said Minshew
Because what he did with the Colts last year, I was amazed.
Steichen, but I'm just saying.
I think it was
you're
Steichen.
You're on a hot streak of
Go ahead.
disarray. Garoppolo, that was a good one.
Yeah, well, Garoppolo won like 70% of his games till he went to the Raiders. He's awful. You see how bad he was yesterday against the Chargers? Yeah, awful.
Josh, did we call that? I can't remember, dude.
I think we did.
We did.
We
did.
Hey, but okay, to go about Bo Nix, if Jarrett Stidham is that much better than him, they're the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's nobody on that team besides Patrick Surtain. And Cortland Sutton's pretty good too, but that team sucks. So Jarrett Stidham's your quarterback. Literally the worst team in the NFL.
Also, can we just take a moment and look through all the propaganda that we saw, like gassing up Bo Nix before they released their depth chart? Like every rider that went to the Denver Broncos camp was like, Bo Nix really coming along. There's something there, guys. Let me tell you, Sean Payton is back in it, baby. He's back in his groove. Yeah, my ass. Third on the depth chart. Nice, dude. I literally saw that. I was just like, it's one of those things. As soon as I read it, I go, okay,
Yeah.
all right. What did everyone? What did keep your sources happy? My ass, dude. QB3. Yeah, he's really set up for the year. He's behind Zach Wilson that just embarrassed himself for the past 2 seasons.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I love it's all falling on Sean Payton. That Sean Payton looks like the dope every single time. Like, I don't know if there's a guy in the NFL I'm rooting more against than Sean Payton at this point. But, speaking of the quarterback position, I'm going to tease it for Thursday. Some of the people actually have written to us with an idea of what the Chargers need to do with their quarterback situation behind Justin Herbert. People aren't excited about Max Duggan, not excited about Easton Stick, and saying what direction should the Chargers go. There's someone out there that the Chargers maybe need to look at to say that guy needs to be our backup quarterback. We'll talk about it on Thursday when we come back. That might be a better fit overall. I'll say it because I'll forget on Thursday. Easton Stick has a terrible name, by the way, for a football player. He completely has a baseball name. He's a baseball player, right? So overall, I didn't say it, by the way, at the beginning of the show. Need it right now. If you guys can subscribe to the show, we appreciate it, and give that thumbs up. We need that as well. If you weren't able to watch the show live today, make sure that you leave comments in the YouTube broadcast, and then we will respond to you. Again, if you have any questions at all or comments, we read every single one of them. But thank you so much. Otherwise, we're going to be back in 2 days. Chargers moving in the right direction. Don't forget, Saturday night, Chargers play Seattle. And first preseason game ready to go. Get an idea of kind of hopefully we see what we like, see what it looks like. And at the same time, we understand they aren't going to basically turn their cards over of what it will look like during the season. But it'll be nice to see the Chargers in their uniforms back on a football field again, going at it. So we'll talk about that as well. A lot going on. And this is where it kind of ramps up for us as far as doing the show for you as fans, to get excited about the 2024 season. But thank you so much for watching. And again, middle of the day means a lot to us. So for Mario Heron, Josh Palais, I'm Dave Palais. We'll see you in 2 days.
Also, a quick shout out to everyone that's getting Halloween decorations right now. Stop doing that. Go ahead and burn them outside. No one likes you for doing that, and I despise you. So if you do that, if you buy Halloween decorations right now, because it's still summer, it's summer until middle of September, go ahead, DM me so I know to block you. Thank you all.